Hi, good evening, and welcome to Meet the Populace. This is a series of interviews conducted for Children of the Dragon on Facebook, and I am Lady Vinka Taviani, your host. These interviews are intended to showcase some of the fantastic people we have in the mid-realm. Everyone from the newest members to the oldest members, I want to hear from them all. So tonight we have Lady Elspeth Swann with us. And I'd like to thank her for being with us tonight. Thanks, Lady Elspeth Swann. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Hi, I'm Lady Elspeth Swann. I live in the Barony of Brendoken in the March of Gwentarian. I've been in the SCA since about 2015. It was just when Nikolai and Serena were becoming king and queen, actually.
Wow. So you're still fairly new. And
Yes.
we were talking a little bit before we started here actually recording, and you were telling me a really great story about your name, how you came up with your name. Would you like to share that with us?
I would love to share my story of my name. When I first joined the SCA, I was just getting over my late godfather's passing. And he has a daughter who's in the SCA out in California. And I wanted to honor him in some way, some form. So his daughter's last name in the SCA is Swann. Swann, as in the Celtic version. So that's how I came about my last name. My first name, I went on looking for names as you would do on the internet, and I saw Elsbeth because, I didn't want anything of my mundane name because my mundane name is principal in the SCA. So I saw the name Elsbeth. It's one of my favorite magic cards, and it fits with my last name. That's pretty much how I came about my name at this point.
Well, that's great that you wanted to honor your godfather. I hope your friend was pleased by that fact, because that's really sweet.
My god sister, she is happy. I always let her know when I get a big achievement.
So we were saying that you haven't been in here very long. You've only been here about 5 years. So how did you initially learn about the SCA?
The initial, first kind of hint of the SCA was in passing with my god sister at my godfather's funeral, actually. And we were comparing reenacting clothes. My fiance, my primary partner, and I actually come from a Civil War reenacting background.
That's cool.
Yeah. And from there, we kind of put it off. And then we started going to anime conventions. And we heard about the SCA through our friends at Ohio Kimono. And we were at Bowling Green University's convention and a marathon. And it was Red Spears. They were doing a demo there. And we saw it. Oh, that's interesting. Went a few more months, ran into some people in World War I uniforms. They're also in the SCA. They're in our barony. And my fiance and them got talking. And from there, we kind of became friends with them, and they showed us Pennsic photos. And at that, yes. They are down in the bog at Pennsic. They're the sweet Three Swans. We're friends with members of Three Swans down in the bog at Pennsic. And they ended up introducing us to the barony of Brendoken.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was about, our first meeting was 2 weeks before everyone left for Pennsic.
So what was your first event?
Our first event was an event down in the March of Alderford called Melee of the Knave. It's an event that they hold every single year, and it's an Alice in Wonderland themed event.
Oh, how cool is that? So
Yes.
how does that work?
Everyone dresses in Alice in Wonderland themed outfits. They're period. There's a warder in our barony called Vlad. If you've ever met big, tall Brendoken Vlad, you'll recognize him. He dresses as like the Mad Hatter, and we have a Alice in Wonderland period contest where you have to make garb that's Alice in Wonderland themed, but in your period. And there's all different fights. They're Alice in Wonderland themed.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. So what do you remember the most about that first event?
There's a lot. I probably remember my first piece of garb, which was a kimono. I didn't know how to tie I didn't know how to tie my obi properly at the time. Because at the time I thought I wanted to do Japanese full time in the SCA. Probably meeting, we have a friend who's now a close friend. Her name is Baroness Katharina, better known as Wolverine around the SCA.
Okay.
We went to our very first class in the SCA was a class she did on tokens. And then court, and it's like finding our people.
Probably spend a lot of time looking for your people, huh?
I do.
So you haven't been in the group in the SCA very long, so you haven't got a lot of time behind you, but you've got enough so that there's got to be something out there that you are really, really super proud of. Is there something that you've made or an award you received? What's something that you are just super proud of?
It's probably this piece of clothing right here. This is my Blades cloak. If you know anything about the barony of Brendoken, you know about the Blades of Brendoken. I, last summer at Nome, became a Blade. I fought my prize and became a Blade of Brendoken.
So for those of us that may not know a lot about Brendoken, what is the significance of that? Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
The Blades of Brendoken are a guild that we have in the barony that is all about rapier. We are a rapier unit, and we are known for our prowess on the battlefield. We've won many a dragon siege at Penzek. It was founded back several years ago when the kingdom was making a push for rapier units, and it has stuck. And we are a proud group of amazing siblings, as I like to call it.
Just a smaller group of siblings in the larger SCA family. That sounds fantastic.
It is. And we love to fight. For a long time, the Blades had a really bad reputation, known for partying, and they've cleaned it up over the last several years.
Well, that's always a good thing when a reputation is cleaned up rather than getting worse. So
Yes.
That's something to be proud of too. So that I guess that kind of leads into a little bit about what kinds of things do you gravitate to in the SCA? Now, clearly you gravitate towards fencing. Is there anything else that grabs you and holds you and keeps you going?
I love to embroider. I'm not the best at it, but I love to embroider. Service. I've cooked at least one feast with my fiance as of right now. We love, as a group, to just be out camping. My fiance and I, as we said, we came from a reenacting background to begin with. So we love to be out camping and just going to the different events, and traveling is our big thing.
That's like, it's pretty amazing how the SCA draws people together and of similar interests. Like I've met a number of Civil War reenactors or Renaissance players, cosplayers that have all, kind of gravitated toward the SCA as well.
I actually prefer the SCA over Civil War reenacting. My fiance is more into that side of things.
So what is it about the SCA that's different that draws you?
The fact that as a woman, I can go out onto the battlefield and I don't have to hide the fact that I'm a woman. I can wear pants. I don't have to be 100% accurate. If I want to wear, say what I have on, which I have on just a kimono and a peasant top and chainmail, I can go out and, especially at like an event like Pensick or Nome, and I can be comfortable in this. And I won't get the odd looks of, oh, you're in non-period related garb.
That's one of the great things that I've run across in the SCA is that there are a lot of people that are really, really quite accepting. Early standard, I believe, was an attempt at pre-16th century garb or pre-17th century something. And as long as people are making an attempt, they don't seem to be too terribly picky. They're just here to have fun. And I think that's the greatest thing about the SCA.
Yes, I have to agree with you on that.
So what's something that you would like to learn still in the SCA?
I'd actually like to, a big project that I have hopefully one day in the works is taking and making a piece of garb from scratch. So starting with the raw material and going all the way to, say, a tunic.
Wow.
Yeah, that, and then I'd also like to do a research paper into penguins, of all things, in period.
Penguins in period. Now that's an interesting thought. How do you come up with penguins in period? Are there references?
There are references. They start in the about 1500s, I found so far. That's been my big project in quarantine.
Okay.
Is penguins in period. They're kind of, I research them back and forth. I'm actually working on it for my heraldry.
Well, when you get that piece done, I would love to see that. That sounds like it's really fascinating because that's something you really don't think about.
It was a thought one day. I was thinking, hey, people were selling around Africa. I know there's penguins in Africa. Like, let's see if it's in period.
Well, clearly somebody saw them.
Yep.
So, when we're talking about crafts and skills and things people learn, what's something that really fascinates you, entertains you, some craft, skill, or entertainment that you really, really enjoy that you yourself don't practice?
I love bardic storytelling, songs. The Barony of Brendoken is known for their bards, and I love our bards in Brendoken especially.
They're a pretty fantastic lot. So do you have a preferred story, or do you have a preferred music that you like listening to?
I love the battle songs of Brendoken, actually.
I'm not sure I've heard any of those.
There is one by Donald Bain of Black Mirrors, who's a brother in the Blades with me, he wrote himself about the barony. And it is probably one of my favorite songs. And he sung it the night I got my cloak for me.
Oh, how cool was that?
Yes.
So I won't ask you to sing it for us unless you really want to.
Unfortunately, I don't know it by heart yet.
Could you kind of tell us a little bit about what it's about?
It's about the barony. It's about our archers and our rapier, and it talks about the 4 marches that make up Brendoken.
Oh, well, cool. So it kind of includes everybody in it?
Yes, it does. And it makes me so happy when I hear it, and I start singing along when he sings it.
You know, I love it. I love hearing about songs that have been written in the SCA for specific groups or for the kingdom or, you know, for a particular barony or something. Those are, to me, those are the songs that really catch the attention because they're so personal. They're for us, all of us.
Yes. And they make me so happy. I love hearing some of them.
So you were talking a little bit earlier about doing your penguin research while you're in quarantine. Are there any other projects or skills that you're working on while we're all penned up in our house?
I've done a little bit of rapier, point control drills, things like that. I've started a new embroidery project, sewing masks, and kind of reading and watching YouTube, lots of SCA YouTube videos.
I think we're all watching a lot of SCA YouTube videos.
Yes.
Well, that's okay. You know, this will be over eventually, and then we'll all be, you know, healthier and out there among each other, and glad to be back.
I look forward to it. I miss my brothers and my sisters.
So, you know, talking about those that you miss and those that we all miss, if you could nominate somebody for one of these Meet the Populace interviews, who would that be?
It would probably have to be Lorenzo Calabrese. He's one of my brothers in the Blades. He's been in the barony for quite a long time. He was actually one of the founding members of the Blades of Rendoken. And he's also a really good storyteller.
Oh, another storyteller.
Yes. It's like he might not be a bard, but he can tell some amazing stories. I probably miss sitting around playing board games. There's a group of us that like to meet for board games in the SCA here, and we'll sit and have drinks and we'll tell stories and play board games.
That sounds like it's a lot of fun.
I have to say, Rendoken's very much, I've seen like other baronies and they seem really odd and different. Rendoken's very close for as far stretched out as we are.
Well, that's great to hear. It sounds like you've got a really, really awesome group. You found your tribe.
Yeah, I did.
All right, well, we're getting shy on time here, so I wanted to thank you again for joining me for this interview. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I was so glad to meet you.
Thank you.
All right, and this has been another episode of Meet the Populace. Thank you for tuning in. Meet the Populace, if you would like to nominate somebody for a Meet the Populace interview, please send that information to the name on the bottom of the screen, to the email address on the bottom of your screen. And if you have any questions that you would like to see asked of our interviewees, you can send that information along to that email address as well. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in. And once again, it's been a pleasure hosting Meet the Populace. Thank you, Lady Elspeth, and you have a great evening.
You as well.